Swinging a ground ball, stabbed by Folk. He has it. He underhands to first, and the Boston Red Sox are the world champions. For the first time in 86 years, the Red Sox have won baseball's world championship. Can you believe it?
Alright, welcome back to the Fenway Files. My name is Tyler. Thank you for joining us tonight. Unfortunately, I don't want to say I'm like under the weather. I do have a pretty bad headache, so I'm going to try and keep this episode relatively short. So if I just seem a little bit out of it, that's why. On top of that, the Red Sox have been playing like dog water. For those of you old heads out there, that means they're playing really bad. I'm going to have like an abbreviated episode tonight just because I'm only breaking down 3 games. I'm not going to be very critical. I'm going to make very brief analyses of those games. I'm skipping the highlight players of the week simply because there weren't any, in my opinion. I'll be talking about our bullpen because clearly it's a problem. Where we stand right now in the standings, not great. And then, obviously, the tragic Tristan Casas news. We'll deep dive into that. I'll still go over the history minute. I'm not going to include the stuff going on in Worcester simply because I did that last episode like 3-4 days ago. Not much has changed since then. We have the previews for next week and then my final thoughts. So I'm going to try and make this as quickly as I can, but I also want to make sure that it's as accurate as possible. So, my prediction for this Twins series that just ended today was that we were going to win 2 of 3 and that we were going to lose the Brayan Bello game. We had Brayan Bello, Hunter Dobbins, and then Garrett Crochet in that order, and much to my surprise, we won 1 game. It was the Brayan Bello game, which I predicted us to lose, and then we lost both the Hunter Dobbins and the Crochet game. So, clearly, I don't know shit about baseball. Not actually, I'm very, very familiar with the game. It's a joke. But game 1, Bello looked phenomenal again. I genuinely think that he is locked in. He has found his true form. He still has good command of the plate. I genuinely think that he's just a dependable, reliable 3 in our rotation right now, which is something that we need, especially with Walker Buehler already on the IL. We won that game 6-1. Game 2, Bailey Ober does what he does best, completely shoved it down our throats. Hunter Dobbins looked good, but Bailey Ober outshined him. Hunter Dobbins gave up the lead in the 6th. We couldn't come back from it after that. We lost 3-4. Game 3 was extremely frustrating because we had a lead twice, and we gave up the lead twice. And it wasn't Crochet's fault. It wasn't anything that he did. It was our bullpen. Again, Justin Slayton and Garrett Whitlock costing us the game, which has been a trend since the beginning of the Twins, honestly, since the beginning of last week. Now, Garrett Crochet only went 5 innings because he took a pitch off of his nose, or not a pitch, a comebacker off of his nose, and somehow it didn't hit him in the head, but it did bust his nose open, and because of it, he only went 5 innings. That doesn't happen. You can make the argument that he goes a little bit further into the game. But he got a bloody nose, and I think that honestly pretty good represents where we are as a team right now. After this Twin series, which I thought we were going to take 2 and win the series, we won 1, and we are now 18-18. We are back to 500 again, somehow. When we win games, we play like the best damn team in baseball, and then when we lose games, we play like the Chicago White Sox. It doesn't make any sense to me. And I can't even blame our starting pitching because our starting pitching has been fantastic. It's our damn bullpen, which was supposed to be the lifeline of this team. Once you get past the 6th, it's supposed to be Garrett Whitlock, Justin Slayton, Aroldis Chapman, and Chapman has been perfect. It's been Slayton and Whitlock that have completely lost all sense of who they are as pitchers and as major leaguers, and it's really concerning. And that kind of transitions us into the next segment where the low light players of the week has been our bullpen as a whole. We are tied for the league lead in blown saves as a team with 10. We are a month into the season. That's completely ridiculous. You cannot be a playoff team and be up there in the upper echelon of teams with the worst bullpen. It's simply not feasible. If you look at our overall bullpen ERA, it's putrid. I know that Justin Slayton's pushing 6. Garrett Whitlock's over 6. It's just not something that we can afford to sustain, especially when we are trying to claw back at the Yankees for that number 1 spot in the division. And that leads us into our next part. For whatever reason, I had the tab closed. So we're back to 500, and what's amazing to me is I made the argument at the beginning of the offseason, beginning of spring training, that the American League East was going to be the hardest division in baseball to win. And right now, one team has a winning record, or one team is over 500. The New York Yankees are 19-15. They are in first place. The Boston Red Sox are 500. They are 18-18. They are 2 games out of first place. That's what made this Twins series so important for the Red Sox, because if you sweep the Twins, you could make the argument with me that the Red Sox are tied for first right now, just because of how weak our division is. The Toronto Blue Jays are in third place. They are 2 games under 500. They're 16-18, tied with the Rays, who are also 16-18. The Orioles are the only team in the division with 20 losses. They're in last place. They are 13-20, 5.5 games out of first. So this division only has one team over 500. And you could make the argument that things don't go the Red Sox way in the next couple of days. We're bottom of the barrel, not past the Orioles, but we're in 4th place. And I'll get into our upcoming schedule in a little bit, but it's like we had the opportunity to make strides in the division, and we blew it. And it wasn't just like in small fashion. It was in grand fashion. It was walk-off, blown save. Like, there's no excuse for it. And especially with what happened with Tristan Casas during Game 1, it completely demoralized this entire team, this entire organization, in my opinion. Because you want to know who's also 500 right now? The Woo Sox. The team that is supposed to be full of all of these bright young stars, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, all of these players around them, they're 500 too. So how can you sit here and tell me that, oh, the Red Sox have such a bright future? Like, yes, we have Roman Anthony and Marcelo Meyer. That's awesome. If they can't win as a team, what does it even mean? Like, Mike Trout, one of the greatest players of my generation, has played 1 postseason playoff game. Okay? Like, you can have all of the individual achievements, but if you don't bring your team to the championship, what does all of that even matter? Like, this is Boston. This is not, like, Chicago. This is not, like, name a city. This isn't Toronto. This is the city of champions. If you do not make it to the playoffs and win the World Series, it doesn't mean shit to us. So, going back to the Tristan Casas thing, in the first game against the Twins, he hit a little grounder to the pitcher, and I want to say tripped and fell over first base, but it was more like his leg gave out. At first reaction, I knew it was a significant knee injury. My guess was an ACL. Unfortunately, it's worse than an ACL. There are a number of different knee ligaments, ACL, MCL, meniscus, that you can tear. And the injury that Tristan Casas suffered is by far the worst possible injury he could have received. Because especially in football, a lot of football players get this sort of injury and never recover from it, and their career's over. Now, obviously, football is a more intensive, high-contact sport, but when you look at the list of players who have had this injury before, several of them have never played baseball again. So, essentially, his injury, it was a ruptured patella tendon. And if you're not sure what that is, hold your kneecap, flex it a little bit, and it's that giant tendon right under your kneecap, right? Tore it completely. So his kneecap was just flopping around, which is why they had to get the cart out and stretcher him out of the stadium, and he was in the hospital overnight. There's a real chance, unfortunately, that we never see him not only in a Red Sox uniform again, but we see him play baseball again. And it's one of, if that does happen, one of the most unfortunate situations where a person in their mid-20s, I think he's 25, deal with consistent, long-term major injuries. His rookie season, it was his shoulder, cut his season basically in half. And then last year, he played in 62 games because of a fractured rib, cartilage in his whatever. And then now he's done, and this is the thing that people aren't realizing. He's not done for just this year. He's done for the next 12 to 18 months, meaning that he's not going to be able to rehab until at least May or June of next year. So if he even comes back to the Boston Red Sox in any sort of shape for his former self, he probably won't be back in Boston playing as your everyday first baseman until July or August. Meaning that the Red Sox have decisions that have to be made, and they have to be made ASAP. And I said this during my predictions episode at the beginning of the season after spring training. There is a massive hole in this team, and it is first baseman depth. Now, their solution, I say solution, was to call up Abraham Toro, who did perform pretty well in AAA, although most of the time that doesn't correlate all the time. Right now, they basically are just platooning Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro at first base. Now, Abraham Toro has a little bit more experience in the majors than Romy Gonzalez, but it's not the answer at first base. And we have to make, Breslow has to do something. I understand we have all of this young pitching depth in the minors. You need to go out and make a trade with somebody. There are even free agents on the market that aren't going to cost you young prospects. The first person I thought of, and I saw a lot of hate online for this, Anthony Rizzo, huge Red Sox fan, great defensive first baseman. I would much rather have Anthony Rizzo as my everyday first baseman than Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez as a revolving door. And the only reason for that is because I know what Anthony Rizzo can bring to the table defensively, and maybe he has fallen off offensively, and I totally understand that, but Abraham Toro and Romy Gonzalez right now offer us nothing at the plate. Romy Gonzalez has a very high batting average because he hasn't played that often. Abraham Toro doesn't have a lot of power behind the dish. At least with Anthony Rizzo, he is a lefty, so it kind of messes up the righty-lefty thing, but he's got that pesky pull. You saw what he could do at Yankee Stadium with that short porch. I can see Anthony Rizzo in a Red Sox uniform absolutely peppering the right field wall, getting, stupid-ass short porch home runs right around that pesky pole, because that's the kind of pull hitter he is. Obviously, I'm not saying that he would hit for 335 to 40 home runs, but you might be able to get 15 out of Anthony Rizzo. You are not getting 15 out of Romy Gonzalez and Abraham Toro probably combined. So I just see that as at least a short-term solution, a year. Then maybe we can explore the free agent market at the end of the season. But I personally think that Anthony Rizzo at first base solves defense problem and gives us a better opportunity at least something offensively. Now, the other solution, and this is kind of like alluding to one of my final thoughts, is giving Rafael Devers some playing time at first base, because that does two things. That opens up the DH, and that allows you to call up Roman Anthony. Now, Rafael Devers has never played first base in his life. The biggest problem with him at third base wasn't fielding the ball. It was throwing the ball from third to first. And I can see him eventually playing first base if you gave him a couple of weeks to get some practice before or after games. I mean, this is a team that put Kyle Schwarber at first base in the middle of a postseason run. So putting Rafael Devers at first base wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Now, I know that Craig Breslow said today that it's not something they're looking into, and to that I say you're stupid for it. Because right now you are limited on options, and closing a door on one of those options it's basically like shooting yourself in the foot. Now, the reason why I like that move so much is because it opens the door for Roman Anthony to be called up, and you can rotate him, Ceddanne Rafaela, Wilyer Abreu, who has not been playing very well recently, Jared Duran. You can have a rotating door in the outfield. I would much rather see Ceddanne Rafaela in center field and then Roman Anthony at DH, but then if Rafaela isn't playing, then you can have Anthony in center field. So there are a lot of moving pieces, and it all comes down to who's playing first base. Now, this is going to repeat a take I had a couple of weeks ago. Roman Anthony is 21. There is no reason why you are so against, as an organization, having him learn first base. If you have him learn first base, that solves every single one of your problems. It solves the clusterfuck in the outfield. It solves moving Raffy Devers over to first. You can keep him at DH, and Roman Anthony is your first baseman for the future. And because of this Casas injury, I think now more than ever is a time to have that conversation, not only with him, but with Chad Tracy down in Worcester, because you simply cannot just shut the door on Roman Anthony learning first base when your first baseman of the future might never play baseball again. So that kind of leads into my final thoughts, but I do want to do a couple of things before I do that. One thing, before I get into my preview, I do want to just do the history minute for just a quick sec. So on May 4th, which is International Star Wars Day, so May the 4th be with all of my fellow Star Wars fans. Today is, come on, computer. On May 4th, 1990, the Red Sox trade Lee Smith to the St. Louis Cardinals for Tom Bradansky. I just thought that was an interesting little factoid. So, where does that leave us going forward? Well, we have a the finale of our home series. We have 3 games at home against the Rangers, and then we start a 6-game road trip with the first 3 in Kansas City. Now, Kansas City is a playoff contender. They are playing very well. Bobby Witt Jr. is basically one of the faces of baseball outside of Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani. He finished 3rd in the MVP last season. So it's not who you want to be playing when you are a middling 500 team that just lost their everyday first baseman. Thankfully, the Rangers series, all of the starting pitchers have been announced. And because of that, I can kind of piece together who's going to be starting during, the Royals series. So, like I said, we have 3 against the Rangers, and then we have 3 in St. Louis. Let me just pull up. Sorry, my computer is being awfully slow today. So because Crochet went today, which, by the way, Crochet is down to almost a sub-2 ERA. He's 2-2, 3-2 with a 2.02 ERA and 56 strikeouts. But we have the return of none other than Nathan Eovaldi, who is 2-2 with a 2.11 ERA and 46 strikeouts, going out against Lucas Giolito. His ERA is a little inflated. He has a 4.50 ERA and 7 strikeouts, but that's only because of the bad 6th inning from his previous start. So we have Eovaldi versus Giolito. Should be a good game. The Rangers gave us a hard time at the beginning of the season. We started against them to start the year. They're 17-18 right now. We're 18-18, so we're basically around the same. I know that Jock Peterson almost just had a Chris Davis Orioles 2016 level, really bad series. He was 0 for 49 at the plate. Game 2 is Tyler Mahle, righty, 3-1, 3.19 ERA and 32 strikeouts. So clearly his ERA is really low, preventing those runners from scoring. He's going up against Tanner Houck, who's 0-2, who has yet to record a win. 6.38 ERA and 30 strikeouts. He did look better his last start, I will give him that. But he struggled against the Rangers at the beginning of the season, so I'm kind of concerned about that game. Game 3, Jack Leiter, another righty, 2-1 with a 4.58 ERA and 15 strikeouts. Not a big strikeout guy. He's more so working some things out. I do also know that the Rangers have Kumar Rocker coming out of their bullpen, so it's one of those there's a chance that we might see him too. He's going up against Brian Bayo, who is 2-0 with a 2.55 ERA and 12 strikeouts. He has looked the best version of himself since signing that contract extension last season. So it's really tough to make any sort of predictions for this game, for the series. But my guess, simply based off of vibes of this team, Eovaldi shoves, because that's what he does. Lucas Giolito has kind of a coming back to earth game. I think we lose game 1. I think Houck gets his doors blown off in game 2. And I think we manage to win the third game. I think Brian Bayo continues his overall dominance. I think we hit Jack Leiter pretty hard. And I think we go 1-2 in the series, and that puts us probably in third place in the division. And I hate to make that sort of prediction, but that's just how the team has been playing. Now, because Garrett Crochet went today, that means that Hunter Dobbins will probably be making the start after Brian Bayo. Because of that, I should be able to predict who is going. Kansas City hasn't announced their starters yet, so my guess is it's going to be Hunter Dobbins, Garrett Crochet, and then Tanner... No. It would be Hunter Dobbins, Garrett Crochet, Lucas Giolito. So at least we have Crochet Day in Kauffman Stadium, which is a pitcher's park for the most part. So hopefully he has kind of I don't want to say a breakout performance because he's been one of the best pitchers in the league, but Crochet-esque start, 10-plus strikeouts, no earned runs, that kind of thing. So to get to my final thoughts, because I have been talking for 25 minutes almost, and like I said, it's going to be an abbreviated episode just because the team hasn't been good. There's nothing to really talk about. I could sit here and hammer home all day how bad this team's been. We can see that. We are back to 500. It's pretty self-evident in our standings. With the injury to Walker Buehler, 15-day IL, season-ending injury, possibly career-ending injury for Tristan Casas, Richard Fitz also on the IL, Connor Wong just coming back from a rehab assignment. This team, this season, has the opportunity to dive off the deep end, to really completely come off the rails and spiral into a 4th or 5th place finish if the front office doesn't make some serious alterations to the roster tomorrow. I'm talking getting a first baseman, getting Roman Anthony, getting something in Fenway, in Boston, to give this team life, because even though Tristan Casas has not been playing well, you can make the argument that he is one of the centerpieces of this team. And when you lose your everyday first baseman, it's a huge domino that can cause a lot of other things to collapse. Thankfully, it's not like we lost a Garrett Crochet to Tommy John or Jaron Duran to an ACL or something catastrophic like that. But if we don't make alterations, it could get to that level. Which is why Breslow needs to make some moves happen within the next 48 to 72 hours, or else this thing could really go down south. And the Rangers have given the Red Sox problems since 2018, and the Royals have given us problems. There's a real chance that we are talking a week from today without winning a game. And if we go 0-6 over the next 7 days, that's it. Like, I don't know where we come back from that. So, things need to happen, and they need to happen quickly. And one of those things that needs to happen is getting Luis Guerrero back the F in Boston, because this bullpen has blown the last 3 series in a row. Cleveland, we should have won that series. Seattle, we should have won that series. And then Chicago, we should have won that series. And then, like, this most recent series, like, we can't keep saying, oh, it's Justin Slayton, it's Garrett Whitlock. It's the bullpen as a whole. They need to be better, simply put. We can't lead the league or be tied for first place in blown saves as a team. And it's not even Aroldis Chapman. He doesn't have a single blown save. It's everybody else who we've tried using in either a save situation or a closing role. When we have a lead in the 7th, and then we don't have a lead in the 8th, it's demoralizing. When we have a lead in the 8th, and then we lose in extra innings, like, what are we doing? If our bullpen is not going to be good, there's no, like, Garrett Crochet can only do so much. He's not the entire rotation. He's not the entire bullpen. He can't put this team on his shoulder and pitch 5 days a week every fucking inning. It's not possible. So if our bullpen is not going to perform well, what's even the point? And because of the Casas injury, because of our consistent series losses, morale right now is at an all-time low. Like, I can tell you just from looking at Red Sox Twitter, all of these, like, come from behind victories for our opponents. It's really demoralizing. It's a lot of, I effing hate this team, somebody please kill me, this is, like, I hate watching this team, yada yada yada, the list goes on. Morale, team-wise, is at also an all-time low. So hopefully that we can start turning it around, but the Twins series was the time to do that. We could have beat the shit out of the Twins because they are a horrible baseball team, and we let them take 2 out of 3 against us. It's just unacceptable. I've already gone over the calling up Romy, giving Raffy some time at first base. The last thing I want to mention, because two things. If you ever just have, like, time to just go into Savers, you'll never know what kind of, like, awesome, like, hidden gems that you can find. For those of you who aren't aware, in the state of Rhode Island, for 35, 45, 50 years, we had McCoy Stadium. McCoy Stadium was home to the Pawtucket Paw Sox. They were the AAA affiliate of the Boston Red Sox up until COVID, honestly. And the state refused to continue funding, and ultimately the stadium has now been almost fully demolished, and they're building a new high school there for the people in Pawtucket. I was completely distraught by the decision by the state of Rhode Island to demo McCoy Stadium because I think that it was a cultural hotspot for those in Rhode Island, for the city of Pawtucket, for all outside areas. But nonetheless, the Paw Sox don't exist anymore. McCoy Stadium is gone. Part of my childhood is never coming back. But I found this Paw Sox hat. And if you can see that, it is signed by the mascot, Paws himself. This hat was at Savers for $5. This is one of those things that, like, I'm never going to get rid of. Just because how often I traveled to McCoy Stadium to see games when I was growing up. It was, like, tickets at Fenway I was never able to afford because financial situations when I was younger. So it was just one of those momentums that I'll never get rid of. The other thing, my final thought for the night, is the Red Sox ticket prices are so goddamn expensive. If you are a fan that has ever tried going to Fenway at any point in time this season, good luck. If you wanted to go to Fenway, like, I, for shits and giggles, looked at the Red Sox-Yankees tickets. Sold out. You won't even find any tickets. Let's just take a look. Tuesday's game. Next game. Tuesday, May 6th. Right? Start time 6:45, which I love the 6:45 start times, by the way. I hate getting out of Fenway at like 11 o'clock at night. Right now, okay, so I might have to shove my foot in my mouth right now, but it looks like, oh, you know what? It's because of the weather. It's because of the weather. Right now, there are tickets for like $25, but bleacher seats. Let's just look at a weekend game. Atlanta Braves, May 17th. The moral of the story here is that ticket prices are absolutely asinine. Yep, here we go. If I want to sit in the bleachers at this game, right? $61 for bleacher seats. If I wanted to take my family to this game, it would cost me $135 for the tickets alone after taxes and fees. It's simply unaffordable right now to go to Fenway Park and have a good time. It's simply not possible. And like the Yankees series is sold out, apparently. If I wanted to go to any other game, if I wanted to go to the Kids Run the Bases game Sunday, May 18th at 1:35, the ticket prices are even higher than the Saturday night game. Bleacher seats, $64. Like, it's simply unaffordable to go to Fenway Park without breaking the bank. Not even to mention concessions. Like, what do you mean a hot dog is $7? If I wanted to get a souvenir drink and a hot dog, it's $22. The Mets series, if you wanted to go see Juan Soto at Fenway Park, good luck. Cheapest ticket right now, $47, so it's a little bit better. But it's a Wednesday night, middle of the school week. It's just like, some of these games are just absolutely asinine to try and go to. The Orioles at $410. There's zero reason why bleacher seats are $63 for the Orioles. Like, I understand it's a Saturday. I understand it's at 4:10. But, like, if you go to a Woo Sox game, you can get into the park, get food in the park, and have a good time for under the price of one ticket to go to a Red Sox game. It's just simply unaffordable to go to a Red Sox game, and there's no reason why the Red Sox have to have one of the highest, if not the highest, ticket prices of any baseball team in the sport. Especially when we have not been good since 2021. And we haven't won the World Series since 2018. So there's absolutely zero reason why the ticket prices need to be so astronomically high. Just, I want to see if the Red Sox-Yankees opened up at all. Well, we're on the pod really quick. So I'm looking at June 13th, 7:10. Yep, tickets have opened up. Bleacher seats, and I'm not even shitting you, $140 for one ticket, not including taxes and fees. If I wanted to sit in the outfield, me and my significant other and my child, right? If we wanted to go to this Red Sox Yankees game, $279 after taxes and fees. That is just simply not physically possible to do. It's simply not possible. I don't understand how a family of 4 with 2 kids who are like 10, 12 can enjoy going to a Red Sox game. I genuinely don't understand it. So the Fenway Sports Group needs to find a way to bring these damn ticket prices down before there's nobody in attendance at Fenway Park. Because it's simply unsustainable to have ticket prices that high. So hopefully, this team, the Red Sox, gives me and fellow Red Sox fans something to be joyful about in the upcoming few weeks. But the way things are going right now, we are in a downward spiral, and the ship is sinking. I'm not abandoning ship yet, but if we don't turn things around soon, I will be the first one to dolphin dive off of the top of the ship. Because the one thing I can't stand with this team is being mediocre. I would prefer if we were like the Chicago White Sox and barely won any games. Because then I could say, okay, I don't have to mentally care. But if we are hovering over 500 for the entire season, that's emotionally and mentally exhausting. Because you have that lingering hope of success while also finding a way to still suck. It's one of those, like, if you're going to suck, you might as well really, really suck. So hopefully the next podcast can be a little bit more positive. But if anything, any sort of breaking news, we make any sort of trades or any sort of acquisitions for first base, you'll hear it here first, or probably not first, probably like 4th or 5th. But hopefully next week's podcast is a little bit more hopeful. Right now, it's looking like that's going to be recorded either Sunday or Monday night of next week. So hopefully I see all of you in the next couple of days. So go Sox. Please be better. Please. I'm like begging you at this point. Just give us something to be hopeful for.